Welcome, Miracle Makers. It's Dr. Sarah Larsen, and today we are talking about your karma and fully understanding the science of karma and your wellness. Does karma affect your body? Is karma real? What can we learn about karma that can really make you have the most efficient, vital body? What have we learned in all the years of being human and keeping records about karma? What is the latest science showing about karma? And what are the myths that we really, truly must understand? The myths that we must remove to allow our own experience of this universe, this life, to be fully realized. Now, for me, my search for understanding karma began during my near-death experiences. If you know a little bit about my story and you know a little bit about the mission of Miracle Makers, you know that I am dedicated to being the most, doing the most, facilitating the most. I had extreme life experiences from 14 to 19 that repeatedly led me into physically being left for dead over and over again until finally I was at some point miraculously resuscitated and back into the physical world. During that time, during the near-death experiences, and during this really extreme period in my life, I began searching to understand what it was that had me continue to come back into form, continue to come back into form. You see, every time I went into one of the near-death experiences, I was always asked by a force, by a guide, by love, do you want to go back into form? And over again, my response would be yes, even though I knew exactly what I was choosing. There was a part of me that knew and knows everything that is going to occur, a divine appointment. And so I began searching for the science for that. When I entered college, I took religious studies. Oh my gosh, I love all the education and wisdom that I've had over the years because it leads to this point. All of the physical harshness, all of the extreme goodness as well. Someone like me with a learning disorder and with, I guess, attention deficit disorder too. I was interested in everything. I studied mass communications in college. I studied and was offered a position on television, and I chose medical school. I got into medical school by a miracle of studying the right thing at the exact right time and answering the exact questions that I had learned. And my younger sister had already been accepted to medical school. And I studied and got passed an oral exam to get into the third best med school in India. I've always been able to see energy. And it wasn't until medical school that I fully understood that not everyone can see energy. And I think this is one of the key concepts to really fully understanding karma, your karma, science, and the thousands and thousands and thousands of years humans have been doing this work in order for you to be exactly where you are. If you're on this call, if you're on this Zoom, you've done something extraordinary to be able to be remaking your life for you to be getting this information. moments ago, we had one of our miracle makers in the pre-segment share that she had near-death experience or a death experience in coma at age 4. And in this coma, in this age, so much awoke for her, and much of her wisdom, much of her energy was tried to be suppressed by waspy, by leaders around her. And then later on with her beloved, when she met and had an astrological reading, the astrology, the time that she was born, the location that she was born into, that whole experience explained her forthcoming life and her partner's forthcoming life. This is important to karma and to science and to reincarnation and to fully understanding how energy works. Your energy is something that has always existed. It's a fundamental truth of laws, and the quoting laws of the universe. Energy is never created nor destroyed; it is only amplified. Those that existed in Egypt that had the highest level of power, those that are set in motion at a young age on rites of passage, have awakened in them near-death experiences so that they can tap into an energy world. We're going to talk about that. We're more scientifically, but this first point that there are books, temple walls, writings, Mayan elders, story keepers that all talk about reincarnation, talk about karma, energy, right? Talk about this. Information has existed for thousands of years. We, in fact, had within the Christian Bible until about, I believe it was 500 AD, writings about karma, writings about reincarnation, the process, the wheels, the cycles that come into that world as well. Right now, the record keepers that are doing the most amount of work in this, that scientific research, individualized work, are the Damanhur people in Italy. The Damanhur group is someone I've studied with, and I highly recommend that you study with as well as you're on your journey. When you take your first breath, you lock in a physical location within your body. This extraordinary first breath that you take is the reversal of flow in your body. You come out of the uterus and the blood flow was moving in the opposite direction, in exactly the opposite way. Then you take your first breath, and that first breath seals a hole inside your heart. And that hole and inside your heart reverses the direction that the veins and arteries were moving. Karma, reincarnation, all of this is one of the energies that is utilized on to balance all the energies of the universe. My near-death experiences, I knew exactly what was going to happen to me. I came back from one of the earliest ones and I drew a picture of Greg. But 9th grade, I was already married. I already had my first near-death experience, extreme situation, and I drew an exact image of what he would look like. And even though I had trauma and I couldn't explain it until many years later, the memory, the download, all of that is there. And the art, what I was creating, definitely shows it. I love that there's bells in the background. Just for me, that's confirmation of the art. Art, right? When we speak about art, if you look at some of the movies that are happening now and some of the movies that happened before, does reality mimic the movies? There are movies, there are Simpsons episodes that call Donald Trump, president. There are movies, there are episodes 20, 30 years beforehand that called the Twin Towers, some of the extreme challenges that are being faced in the world. Nostradamus, years ago, 400 AD, wrote some of the stories that are incredible for us to read. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, tapped into and wrote about much of the findings that we are finding now. What is karma? So as we define it, as we understand it, it is so beautiful to get what is not, right? What karma is not. But karma is, I love it when we go to restaurants or to these counters and it says, good karma, put a tip here. And you rapidly, you put money into the jar for good karma. Do good deeds and good karma will come to you. Go out and feed the homeless, do all of this stuff so that you will wind up in heaven. This is not a definition of karma. It's really important to understand it is action, but this action comes from a rooted place that does not desire a result. I want to say that another way. It's so important to fully get. It is a balancing of energies. I'm going to bring up a quick video that shows you how electrons, protons, and the earth work. This is going to help you understand at the core of who you are is space, is molecules, is atoms. You break down anything and everything. It is an energy in motion. This energy in motion forms elements. Those elements form into incredible elements that the Chinese air, wind, water, wood, fire, metal, the 5 elements. We can label them so many different ways, but the key elements, the periodic table, is made up of the same exact things organized in different ways. You are made up of those items, those atoms, those elements on the periodic table. The Chinese and the Arabs and the Greeks and the Indians and the Mayans and all of these ancient traditions went on to label them in different ways. They understood the stars. They understood what was coming, and they so were tuned in that they could tune in to the frequency of balance. Karma is balance. Karma is an energy that allows the positive and the negative to equal to oneness. For me to have this life currently, I had to be balanced with having the experiences of the near-death experiences, the extreme physical situations. When I went into the energy space, when I was dying, when I was not full of breath, and DMT was being released from my pineal gland, my pituitary, all of those hormones working inside my body showed me my connection to everything. The questions that I was asked by love was, do you want to experience this in this physical form? Are you still on purpose? Are you capable? Are you able? I balanced. I saw how the other had chosen to take the darker role in this instance, to bring out and birth something in both of us that would not be possible. Karma is action, and that action brings more balance and more possibility and more of an alignment to use all of the elements that exist within you. It's such a powerful gift that you get to give yourself when you truly surrender to the highest form. It's possible to surrender and fully take in something greater than me is beating my heart, is utilizing my breath. And with each and every person that you encounter, with each and every person that you meet, you will have the opportunity to create the best possible balance between you two. The maximum amount of giving, the maximum amount of receiving, the maximum amount of witnessing. This is from the works of Carl Jung, right? When they go into studying karma and they go into the archetypes, from the works of Alan Watts, from those words, and we'll step into those. But first, let's do our little bit of science to fully understand what's coming up. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to summarize what we just shared really, really quickly. We caught in the beginning, right? I had near-death experiences that really led me on this trail to figuring out what karma is and what reincarnation is, and to fully understanding the choices that I was making when I was on the other side. When I came back into physical body, I came in with full forgiveness every time to the person that was hurting me. I did not come into it with my parents and my blood family. I had to grow my ability to forgive those that shared the same blood and genetics. We didn't talk about that yet, but we will. Soul families and soul groups coming together. They're astrologically, you are born at a particular time, at a particular place, in a particular location in order to fulfill an energetic balance with the soul group that you come in with. Those that believed in karma, believed in reincarnation, include early Christianity, include the Damanhur, the Essenes, the Buddhist, the Hindu. It exists within ancient writings of the Arabian, Egyptian, Mayan, Incas. All of them have a reference to balance, to karma. They each have their own word for it. It's so beautiful when we really understand you are not alone. You are the balance of something brilliant and beautiful. And there's so much science to go with that. We've been studying it in the Western world for at least since the 1950s. If we have time, we'll jump into that as well. Let me show you a little bit of the work that we've got from NASA on let's see, let me bring this up. So we'll show you a little bit of that work. And I'm so excited that you're here today, diving into karma, diving into this science will allow you to fully benefit from all of your life story so that you can give to the maximum degree. Remake yourself to the maximum degree in order to receive and witness all you're here to receive and witness.